Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. I hope we meet you well as always. Today being a Friday, TGIF. I remember that from time to time. Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
Well, my guest this morning has traveled a bit, all the way from Osun State here. I'm talking about Engineer Remy Omowaye. Honorable Omowaye is the Commissioner for Works and Transport in Osun State. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Indeed, sir. Osun has been in the news in recent times. Principally, if you're looking at the political horizon, it's because following the election, there was a change of guard, as the voters would have it, within the same party. But there have been radical policy shifts, not to say reversal, because I'm not too sure if it is indeed a reversal or if it was just shifting a bit in a bit of the way IBB during his time has said, a little to the left and a little to the right. Now, I think some are saying it's a policy reversal. Now, education is the most notable one. It might not be the only one, but it is the most notable one because it's like wholesale changes were made in then. So I wanted to ask, what's going on? Because it's the same party, and the governor now, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, he was the former governor, Engineer Aregbesola, now minister. He was his chief of staff for 8 years. And Oyetola would not have become governor had, Aregbesola, not, as it were, appointed him and brought him to the notice of people so that people could evaluate him. In other words, maybe he was something of an unknown until the Aregbesola administration threw him to the fore. Now, he is at the head of an administration there that has virtually reversed. Let's just stay with reversed. But those who are hurt are saying that actually the administration seems to be rubbishing all the policies of the former governor in the place.
Well, I thank you for using the word that you said was a reversed or shift in policy. Well, it was not reversed. It was just a review of policy. And
but everything in education is to go back to where it was.
Not everything.
Okay.
That's why it's a review.
Okay.
And this platform will create an opportunity for me to further clarify what we've done. And I must say this, that no one has capacity to rubbish the legacies of Ralph Aregbesola. He remains architect of modern Osun. We said it that the incumbent governor was his chief of staff. I was his commissioner for innovation, science and tech. Chunk of us in the cabinet served the
were there for the entirety of Aregbesola's 8 years.
Chunk of us in the cabinet served with Ralph Aregbesola. We have about 40 cabinet members, but 28 of us had one thing to do indirectly or directly with Ralph Aregbesola's administration. So there's no way we can rubbish ourselves. We're all Aregbesola's legacy. But we must make this clear to people. Democracy is about people. Democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That is important. And when you have policies that you're having challenges, and the people are saying, let us look at possibility of reviewing this thing. As a listening governor, as a governor of the APC extraction, as a governor of Ashwaju dynasty, you must listen to the people. And I must say this clearly. We were part of those policies initially. So we cannot deny the fact that we were part of it. But we've gotten to a level whereby a lot of things, aftermath of those policies, they've been serious cry that we should review this thing. And don't forget, Governor Goigwe has spent 16 months in office, 15, 16 months. It did not just come in and say, hey, I was changing those things. We looked at it critically. And out of all what came up for recommendation, some were left, which is an indication that all was not reversed.
Some were left for further committee review.
Yeah, an improvement. A typical example is Okpomo. We all know Okpomo is won a lot of accolade, won a lot of award. We're in the high T ward. So the committee recommended that you should leave up one more and improve on it. We have in the Ministry of Education, we have about 18 permanent secretary. Federal Ministry of Education has just one permanent secretary. We created the Office of Tutor General, 1 per senatorial district. Then Headmaster General, 1 per federal constituency, 9. Just to motivate teachers, to also make sure that teachers get to the peak of their career. The committee looked at it that 18 is too much for Osun, that you can have it revised and you still have your Tutor General, but they will not be PAMSEC status. You have your Headmaster General, they will not be PAMSEC status, because we also had the issue of command line structure. The PAMSEC education couldn't command the Tutor General because they will tell you we are PAMSEC status. So the committee reviewed that it's a good idea that you want to encourage the teachers, the primary school teachers, to become Headmaster General, ultimately the second principal to become Tutor General, but don't put them on PAMSEC status. So that has been addressed. OMIL.
Was it? Sorry for interrupting you. All of the, I don't know, since you said this was more or less, if I understood you correctly, agitations from the people within Osun State. Did these agitations start after Aregbesola had left, or had they started during his time? And finally, I wonder, I'm just curious personally, is Aregbesola in on all of this? That look, we're reversing all of this, and
I must say,
signed off that,
I must say
cool,
this
I'm
clearly.
happy. You guys go ahead.
I must say this clearly. There are 2 things. During the campaign, there was a governorship debate. They asked the then candidate of APC, Wego Etola, that if you come in and they ask you to reverse this single uniform policy, will you reverse it? He said, well, if that is the wish of the people, we'll look at it. So he did not just wake up in a day to say, we are reviewing this policy. They asked him when he was campaigning, and he promised the people that if this is what you want, we're going to look at it. Then 2, our leader, the former governor of the state, Ralph Aregbesola, said it when he had his last Ogbeni daybreak, November 2018, and said, well, we'll do things differently. If there are things I've done and we feel we should do it in a different way, he would do it because it's a different person. He would consult with the leadership of the party. And when Tola came in as governor, he went around to thank people. He went to each of the federal constituency and he aggregated requests from them. And in each of these federal constituency, they all raised it that you need to review the education policy. It was not on education alone. There were a lot of things they said about, I'm the commissioner for works. We've started a number of works. It was not Tola that picked those roads, but from the needs assessment, from the request of the people, that was where we picked those roads we are constructing from. Ditto on the education thing. And when we had a lot of agitation, we didn't just work on the impulse and said, okay, let's review it. No. We saddled the commissioner for education, the Minister of Education, come up with a report. And they brought it to ESCO. And we looked at it and said, well, we cannot take this decision in ESCO. Let us set up an in-house committee. We set up a 7-man committee headed by the deputy governor. We gave them 2 weeks to report back. They came back and said, this decision, we cannot look at it. Let us get experts. It will be good we get experts across board to look at this and get opinion and see if they would have to reverse this. And that was what led to Professor Oluwaina led committee to review. And the committee came and looked at it. And if you look at those on that committee, you have representative of ANCOPS, representative of NUT, you have former registrar of WAEC, you have Professor Bidakobe, you have Professor Obaya, you have General Alani Akinade. And I was listening to journalist Anga a few days ago, and the tutor you made an illustration that made me laugh, that Ralph Aregbesola was in Puliba when General Akinade was the chief of army staff. Boyega Itola was in Unilag when General Akinade was the chief of army staff. Those were the people that reviewed those policies. And they came up with a number of recommendations.
But you also had respectable, people in the education field the first time around as well, when the change was brought to the education sector.
Yes, there were a lot of things that we didn't envisage would happen. For instance, when we look at the single uniform policy, yes, the reason for the single uniform policy was basically because when we came in 2010, we saw our students in the public schools, uniform was like rag on them, and the governor felt, okay, let's have a single uniform policy. We didn't know there were going to be a lot of security issues afterwards. I'm privy to the fact that the DSS wrote a lot of reports on single uniform issues, the security challenges around the single uniform. The government was able to pay for the free uniform for the first year. After the first year, they went to start buying this uniform. So if you see this uniform on them now again, it has turned to rag. So the initial objective was defeated. And if the security operatives are saying, you have to review this, Thank You is saying you have to review this, and DFID did needs assessment when we came, and they are saying you should review this uniform. And we are saying democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we have the APC extraction, we have the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's extraction. We will listen to the people who govern.
So it's like you've accepted that it wasn't well thought out the first time around.
Well, we had challenges with it. It's just like borrowing 737 MAX. They improved on it. And when it started flying, it crashed twice, and they recalled it.
Okay, we're going to continue this, but I understand that the Honorable Minister of Education is briefing on the corona COVID-19 virus. I don't know if we want to cut over there or if we just need to notify and then continue. Let's wait for the producers to do what they need to do.
And then the complaint I heard from the senator, chairman of the committee, who said that there had been a lot of improvement in there. So that one is taken care of. With regard to NCDC, I want to say first of all that every money, every amount they asked for was granted by federal government immediately. Government didn't waste time at all. But before once it's approved, you have to go through a process. You have to go through the Ministry of Finance, go through the budget, and so on. And in the meantime, NCDC said they want to make immediate procurements. So I gave them the go-ahead to tell their contractors to supply, and they will be paid after. So because they deal in the business of infection prevention and control, personal protective equipment, they have customers already who they buy from. So they went ahead to get from those customers, pending when they will get their money to pay, and those producers actually gave them some materials on credit. And here I can say I thank them very much for doing that. And I believe that many of them have been settled now, if not all, because the money has come in. But it was only a measure we took at that time, not to wait until you see money before you start procuring what you need urgently, but to tell your trusted supplier to say, please, I need this. I will get my money next week, but give it to me because I need it today. And they complied, and so we didn't have any gaps with our supplies and with our equipment. So that was just a normal understanding. As to 3 cases, yes, those are the 2 cases. One of them we're expecting the result. It takes some hours for the result to come out. How to protect the vulnerable, and what we have said is that people should maintain a good distance, social distance, and advise anyone who's coughing, sneezing, or feverish near you with no clear diagnosis, keep a distance from that person and advise that person to see a doctor or go and rest at home. And the vulnerable who have other ailments should better at this time probably also avoid crowds, avoid crowded places. They protect themselves. As for countries spreading restrictions, every country develops its own strategy on how to protect its citizens.
Okay, then, so the Honorable Minister of Health updating the press on, coronavirus COVID-19, and a full report will be coming to you later on, as always, in our bulletins, our network news bulletins. And so back to Engineer Remi Omowaye, Honorable Commissioner for Works and Transport in Osun State, and we're talking about the policy reversals. We don't know if it's I think he prefers review, although we're going back to where we were before largely.
On a number of some issues.
On some issues, and you were just explaining how it seems the wisdom is that it wasn't as well thought out as it could have been the first time around. And so
No,
that's
I was
been corrected
explaining
now.
to you that there are, I give an instance of borrowing 737 Max. It was an improved technology, but they discovered it was not working the way it should work. So they recalled those aircraft. So for us, I'll give you a typical example. There's a school in OSOGBO, Baptist Girls High School.
Sure.
After the reclassification became Baptist High School. But the WAEC did not effect the change in their office. And the male student, it used to be a single school, a girls' school alone. They moved male students to those schools. And they became Baptist High School. When they wrote WAEC, and WAEC wanted to issue certificate, they issued certificate of Baptist Girls High School to male. Now, there's a case we are tackling at the moment. A guy went to the US with that certificate. He needed to apply for something, and he brought out a certificate of Baptist Girls High School, male. They denied him because they said, how would a male would be carrying about certificate of Baptist Girls High School?
Okay.
Now, when we went to WAEC, WAEC is telling us we need to pay 300 million. There are about 20,000 of them. Those were challenges we had with those policies.
Okay.
Then more importantly, despite the fact that we carried alumni association of various schools
So it was
along.
a typographical error.
It wasn't typographical because WAEC was saying you did not effect the change with us.
Oh,
So
okay.
they used the scale of Baptist Girls High School to all those male guys. Now we need to not issue attestation to those guys to help them, because in future any of them can come and say, I want to contest. I'm like, what are you doing with the girls' school certificate? So those were part of the issues we had, and
Some
we
of
felt,
the problems.
Yes, and despite the fact that we carried along major stakeholders, particularly the alumni associations of various schools, they gave us a lot of problems. Some of them took us to court. A lot of those churches took us to court and said, no, we don't want this policy any longer. And I said it earlier, it's about people.
Okay.
As a leader.
But it was also about change. This is what they told us about APC, that APC was essentially about change, and there was something of a change in Osun at the time.
I said it, for instance, in the area of infrastructure, chunk of what we have spent on infrastructure, I can tell you as a commissioner for works, 85% of what we have spent on infrastructure, we have spent on what we inherited from the last administration. So if we had wanted to rubbish Aregbesola policy, of course, we'll have started our own project. But because it's continuation, and I said it earlier that chunk of us in the cabinet, especially those of us holding sensitive position, we're in the last administration. So that on its own is continuity. We continue with the idea. OMU was embraced at the national level. OES was embraced at the national level, and Christian at Empower. It worked, and everybody emulated
uniform is what needs to be adjusted
now,
as just one of those things.
And I would also give this illustration. The last administration started a lot of laudable policies.
I thought there was a factory that was established.
Yeah, we started a lot of laudable policies, and several of those policies were embraced in other places because it worked well, and people embraced it. But tell me any place where they embraced the single uniform policy after we started. When we started Anthem and we came up with the coat of arms, they were saying Osun wanted to secede. Today, over 15 states has Anthem and coat of arms because it worked. So anything that worked, that people are not resisting, people would embrace it. But if you have what is not working, nobody would embrace it. So we had issues with this uniform, security issues, several other issues. But what is important is we don't need to cry more than the bereaved. The former governor, when he was rounding up his tenure, said this man would probably do things differently. And if he sees what I've done that shouldn't have been done like that, he can change it.
Okay.
And the incumbent governor during his debate was asked, if they asked you to change this, will you change it? He said, if that is what the people want. So what's the first? And we have never changed from our direction. Our government is about people. Our leader, our former governor will say, power is responsibility. People of Osun are giving us the power. And those that hold the power are saying they want us to do this. When we started funding projects, in fact, there's a particular project that the contractor had left since 2017. We had to give the contractor money to come back. I flew in from Abuja this morning. I was at the Ministry of Aviation yesterday. Why did I go there? We have this airport project that Ralph Aregbesola started. And we've not had resources to touch it for the past 4 years. And because it's our legacy, it's the legacy of Ralph Aregbesola, we must sustain it. So we are finding a way around it now. There are a lot of roads that we are doing in Osun that These stories were started by Ralph Aregbesol's administration. We must complete it because it's our legacy.
Well,
so,
I suppose...
And nobody is saying you must not complete those roads.
Yeah.
Nobody is saying you must abandon the airport.
So it's about dynamism.
So
now.
it's about dynamism.
People have to be dynamic and
that's
listening
it.
to the...
And I can tell you, our leaders understand this clearly.
How does Aregbe, as one of the leaders, and as you have said, you know, no small fry in Osun governance and politics, even though he's a past administration, how does he feel about this? He's like, did he sign off on it? That, yeah, cool. I mean, it's not for him to sign off on.
No, but I told you when he had his last Ogbeni break, he said clearly that Ileri Oluwa will do things differently. We are different. Ileri Oluwa is Baba Jeje.
Yes.
Ogbeni is. So they are different people, but they are working towards the same goal. It's about the people. So I'm sure Ogbeni won't have issue because Ogbeni is commissioner for finance. He's also Oyetola's commissioner for finance. I was his commissioner for innovation. I'm Oyetola's commissioner for works. The chief of staff, the incumbent chief of staff, was in charge of a lot of policies under Ralph Aregbesola. The commissioner for budget of Aregbesola is commissioner for budget for Oyetola. Okay. The chief of staff of Aregbesola is the governor.
Were there any of these rumblings in Aregbesola's time? Or is it that it was when he had served his term and had left office that all of these rumblings now came up?
Well, it started then, but it was not as hot as this. And you know, people will look at it that we have a new governor. So let us also make noise about this again. And don't forget, during that campaign, it was a major talking point. That was why during the debate, they asked all the candidates, including Boyega Oyetola, that if you become governor, will you change this? And he said, if that is the wish of the people, we'll look at it. And he did not just wake up one day. We are 16 months into his administration. So he went through thorough processes to come up with this.
Quite frankly, thank you very much, because you're really enlightening me. But the way governance works, if Aregbesola in his time had known that the people were solidly against this, I doubt that he would have continued. So I don't know what happened.
I'm sure if Aregbesola was a governor now, he would have also reviewed it, because he's also a governor that listened to the people.
Okay. But since you say there were aspects of this that were actually occurring during his time, he must have heard those rumblings. But what, did he just carry on nevertheless?
No, I said the agitation became much more. DFID did not send the report to Ralph Aregbesola.
Okay,
it was when Oyetola came into the office, they looked at it that we have a new governor. Let us do needs assessment. And they sent it to him, and it was on the needs assessment. When when Governor Oyetola went around to thank people when he came into office, thank you for voting for me.
That was when...
And he was asking them, what do you people want me to do? Fix this road. But more importantly, uniform. And we were also having issues with the change in policy. Nationally, 6334 is being used. We changed HAS to something else. So we're also having issues. So we need to also come back to conform with the national policy. So for me, it is not a big deal that we're doing what the people want.
Okay.
And there's nobody that can take the place of Ralph Aregbesola. He remains our leader. And there are a lot of things that we are doing now that he started. If you see the way we construct road in Osun now, the way ingenuity Ralph Aregbesola brought into governance. So forget what people are saying. And I must say this clearly. The opposition are pained because they won't have what to campaign with. And you see the opposition going out and saying, it's because they are pained. They know we are doing what the people want.
The opposition has gotten in on the act and has said that this is a long overdue change. In fact, I was reading that I think APC, the main opposition in Osun, has said already that that Aregbe is known for flip-flopping, and that this was long overdue.
You see, there's nothing they say about Aregbe.
Well, okay.
He remains the architect of New Osun. Today, go and look at the quality of road in Osun, it's courtesy of Aregbe. Go and look at the schools we have in Osun, it's courtesy of Aregbe. Go and look at a lot of laudable ideas we have in Osun, it's courtesy of Aregbe. So no matter what they say, and you won't expect the opposition to like Aregbe because he killed the opposition.
Okay.
So they won't like him.
Okay.
And this is not even about Aregbesola, it's about Oyetola. People of Osun will hold him responsible if he does not do what they want.
So in 16 months?
Yes.
Governor Oyetola has been in place for about 16 months, and that's when, following observation, following, investigations, it's been determined that, look, there is no other way but to
review this. And he did not just wake up one day and say, okay, we are reviewing this.
There was a
lot. He went through a series of
consultations.
Consultation committees and all that.
Let me, good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Uncle Yori. Good morning to your guests as well.
Okay.
Uncle Yori, if the reversal of policy in Osun State was, as the Speaker said, a desire by the people, it wouldn't have become a controversy. You see, when a change takes place, one expects one kind of review or the other. That's not what I'm actually contesting. The gentleman in front of you said something about the relationship between General Kinyande and the current governor and all. It's not about how old the person is, what was his relationship with me when I was small. He is the governor today, and if he wasn't capable of becoming a governor, I don't think the Osun people would have made him a governor. He should be himself. If you can just take advice simply because it is one particular respected individual that said it. But what the individual said is what should count. I'm particularly I'm not really against reviews. But the question is, what are you reviewing from? What you are reversing, is it better than what was on the ground? I look at the uniformity of education policy uniform, for example. In as an educationist, standard is key. You set a standard which students should strive to get to. You don't bring standards down. Where you have uniform, different patterns of uniform everywhere, you cannot really say dressing, because dressing is part of what you teach the students. When the schools are not in a uniform manner, I don't know how you can impart some standard to the students. I've seen that appointment. I spoke about it before. And the quality that former deputy governor put into that product is very, very good. I want to beg the commissioner that they should please see, even if they have to review it, they should not cancel it. I showed that appointment to a professor in the UK who has been teaching for 50 years, and he couldn't believe it came from my country. So please, let the review be upward, something that improves the standard, not something that tends to bring down the standard.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. George. Well, before you have plenty of time to respond.
I think I need to quickly respond.
I've got to quickly go on a break, but we'll come straight back to you. Okay. Stay with us, please. Welcome back. Osun State in Focus, or better put, the state of Osun. That's how you people put it, the state of Osun. I remember in Aragbesha last time. Yeah. You're continuing that legacy. Yeah. It is still the state of Osun.
The state of Osun.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking about the review.
Let me quickly respond to the caller.
Spoken about the review, and I said
apparently
he's not against review, but he was concerned that the review should be upward.
Apparently the caller probably didn't join the program from the beginning. I spoke extensively on Okpoimo. I was part of Okpoimo. The committee...
It is not being cancelled.
The committee came and said, this is a laudable idea, but you have to improve on it.
Yes.
So what was he saying? And he also came and said, we brought the illustration of General Kinyande when we talked about it and said the governor would probably have influenced the decision of the committee. And we brought the illustration that Oyetola cannot influence the decision of General Kinyande. He cannot influence the decision of Oluwaina. Professor Oluwaina was the chairman of vocational board for vocational for technical education during Rauf Agberesola's tenure. So this is not about sentiment.
Well, it's not.
And let me also say this, let me quickly say this. Democracy is about the majority.
It is. So
it is not everybody that will support what you want to do.
But he also
so that we have dissenting voice,
yes,
does not mean we should listen to the dissenting voice.
But so he also said, and you might agree, you probably will, that when you introduce, when you bring on a change, usually there will be those, simply because it differs from what we've been used to, that will say, how is this thing going?
We don't have problem with that.
You don't have problem with that.
We don't have problem with that. But what we are saying is,
But that's
we
why I
need
was,
to improve
I was
on what we
pointing out
have.
that,
For,
yeah.
for instance,
And there's nobody that will say things can be
For
reviewed.
instance,
Even Aregbesola himself said things can be reviewed.
Yes, for
but
instance.
it's looking like a reversal, and as those who are not your friends are saying that it's seemingly rubbishing the whole legacy.
And I've said it's not reversal. It's just a review. And part of the recommendation of the committee is that we need to improve on the inspectorate department. And we don't have enough teachers any longer in the civil service. So we are recruiting 2,500 teachers.
Okay.
You see, I've seen comments from a few dissenting voices on this issue that they are not major stakeholders. They don't have children in these schools. So they are not bothered if these schools will run, and it doesn't run. And let me also say this. I said we had a lot of challenges with the Alumni Association. We had a lot of challenges with the Alpha Begore of this world, but Wale Oladipo, Professor Isaac Adewale, Baba Adeboye, they all went to Elisha Grammar School. And in the process of reclassification, the school was changed to Elisha High School. And they said, no, we want it as Elisha Grammar School. And let me tell you, that's not even the issue. The issue is we want a better educational system for our people. The issue is we want a better healthcare system for our people. We want to improve on the infrastructure for our people. So if our people is saying this is what we want, we didn't just listen to them whole-hearted. We now set up missionaries to look at what they said.
Yeah, but I also pointed
out. I can tell you the PDP are saying, what are they still doing with Okpomo? But when the review panel, experts, 13 of them, came and said, no, Okpomo is good, you must sustain it. Yeah. I told you about the permanent secretary thing. They are not saying you should cancel Tutor General or Headmaster General, but reduce it and make the status of Tutor General and the Headmaster General lower than that of PAMSEC.
Okay.
So, you see, you keep on improving on whatsoever you have, and that is for us.
I don't think any right-thinking person will be against a review. No, to that extent, I suppose you're on the same page. But it was pointed out by the first caller that, you know, maybe why people are saying this is all controversial is because of the perception that they are taking of it. But let me not go beyond that.
Perception being created by dissenting voices.
Okay. Mazi Okorafor in Arochukwu, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess, in the studio.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, yeah, my brother, you see, the reversal is in good shape. Because in a country like ours, we have federal, we have state, we have local government, and we have geopolitical. Why must your own be exceptional, different from what the zone are doing? Nigerian system of education, 6-state reform, primary, that's the basic education, junior YX 3 years, senior YX 3 years, that's SS1, SS2, SS3, junior YX JS1, JS2, JS3. Then at university level 4 years, maybe some university they offer 5 years. Depending, maybe medical students will know about that one 5%. Why must their own be different? That
because
is why
they went, Osun went to 5-4-3-4. Yeah. 5-4-3-4.
That is to show you that even the system is there during that time. No, people cannot talk because when you talk, they will tell you where you belong. So people will just don't look.
No, I disagree with you. We thought it was going to work and it didn't work, and we reversed back.
Now when you reverse back, I don't reverse back. There's nothing wrong to be in uniform, whatever you are doing.
Okay.
I get me. Now when you come in terms of uniform, let's assume elementary school, you are wearing white and white, the other one white and blue and red, the other one pink and do not come. With that one different colors, you can identify a child from a particular school. And this issue of children roaming about the town during school hours, you can identify a particular child from a particular school. Then you can now hold the school responsible that they are not doing their job. Okay. But whereby everything is just move like a zigzag
uniform.
You don't know exactly.
All right then.
Which is not like here.
Okay.
So what we are doing, anything that has to do with education, we should not play politics with it, because one of the dividends of democracy in any country is education. Where the state or the place fail to give the masses or the populace education, that means that system is faulty. So let us build a base that Nigeria is our country. Whatever we do, we should remember the masses, not the one that will suit us or suit our own taste of governance. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mazi Okorafor. Are there opportunity costs to this review? By which I mean, I think you set up when the idea of the old uniform was in place, I think you set up an establishment
Yes, there's
that
this
will be-
Omolo bigamy thing. These are
yes.
things that we have also looked at.
So all
And
of that
I
is
can tell
now
you-
going to go to waste.
I can tell you what should be our emphasis now is how will this thing be implemented seamlessly? We know there's an Omolo bigamy industry. How are we going to make it functional? They have advised that Okpomo should now be made much more functional.
Yes.
So what is the challenge now, or what we must now work towards is to implement this thing seamlessly. So I can tell you all this will be looked at and would implement it. We have about 6 months
Okay.
for the full implementation. All this will be done.
Okay.
And I can tell you for us, it is not a big issue because the difference between us and the major opposition party is PDP is when PDP mistake, they don't take it, they make mistake. When we make mistake, we take it as a mistake.
Okay, so it
And
was a
for-
mistake.
No,
What you're saying is that
no,
the
don't put-
Aregbe-Shola policy was a mistake.
it was not a mistake.
Okay.
We felt it was going to work,
Okay.
and we're not getting the desired results.
Oh, okay.
And we felt we could improve on this.
So it's being reviewed. As
It's been reviewed because we left a lot of things in this store. If it was opposition, they would have just come. In fact, if it was the opposition that came in, I'm sure the first day they come, the man would just, I'm reversing everything back.
Comrade Ayo, OSOGBO, Osun State. How say you?
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Uncle Yori, it is state of Osun.
I have corrected him.
I am, but me myself, I said state of Osun once or twice. I said it twice.
State of Osun.
And then I'll try to remember. State of Osun.
Good morning to the Honorable Commissioner.
Morning, sir.
Honorable Commissioner, let me start by saying the policy.
Comrade Ayo, please be brief.
Yes.
Please be brief.
All right, sir. The policy on same uniform is a laudable one. Yes, we know it is the yearning of the people that it should be reversed during the electioneering campaign. It's one of the things that the people said they wanted. But one thing is this. How are you going to do this? Bringing the students from guest school to their former school, how is it going to be implemented? This policy of reversal, how is it going to be implemented? Then secondly, Honorable Commissioner, with all due respect, sir, I am not comfortable with the way you are calling Aregbe-Shola. Please just put a kind of respect. Governor Rauf Aregbe-Shola or Honorable Minister Aregbe-Shola. God bless you.
Ogbeni Aregbe-Shola.
Thank you. Ogbeni Aregbe-Shola. God bless you and God bless the state of Osun.
Honorable Commissioner.
But as a newsman, quite frankly, as a newsman,
Honorable
I think that last point.
Aregbe-Shola is my father.
Exactly.
And that is the way we'll be calling him.
Okay.
And I've said it clearly, he's our leader. He's the architect of New Osun.
Because to be
you
able
see, they are trying to create gulf, especially the opposition, between the two leaders. And I tell them, it can't work. He has said something. He said, though it is the yearnings of the people. So what else? I said it earlier before you called in that what is important is how do we implement these things seamlessly? And I can tell you a lot of stakeholders had come to visit the governor to say, wait, thank you. The governor said, no, it's not about thank you. How do we implement this thing seamlessly? I know an alumni association that had come and the governor said, yes, you've gotten your school back, but what will you do in return to the school? Go and bring proposal. We must build these schools together. We must improve our educational system together. So all major stakeholders will be involved.
You know, the committees and all the bodies that were set up to review this thing, you mentioned among other notable names, General Alani Akinriade,
Professor
Oluwaina, all of those people. But there were equally illustrious names the first time around too, when this thing was under consultation. I remember Professor Soyinka was involved.
Yes, he was the chairman of the panel.
So it's not as if there was a lack of
and erudition. That is the reason why it was not everything that was changed. It was only those that had issues.
Okay.
That was improved. That the advisor we should improve on.
Okay. Mr. Yakub, good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, good morning, Sir. And good morning to Honorable Commissioner.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, usually I don't think there is a room for any hula baloo about this reversal. Why? Because Ogbeni Rauf Aregbe-Shola, the former governor of state of Osun, and then the incumbent governor now. If I don't make mistake, the incumbent governor now I think he's a chief of staff to Aregbe-Shola, if I'm right. I think all this policy, all of them are aware of it, including the commissioner in the studio that says that they work with Ogbeni for almost 8 years, if not 8 years. And then the chunk of them working with the last administration, they are seeing this administration as well. if anybody says that the rubbish legacy of Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, they also rubbish the legacy of themselves.
Yeah.
Although for me, I don't think they rubbish Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola legacy, because the issue is this. Shibiori, in my area here, there was a school here, Abibatu Mogaji High School. There's Oniwaya High School, and then there's other schools. You can only identify those students by their uniform. If they are using the same uniform, if one of them behaves normal, how do you go to identify the school that the boy or the girl is coming from? I always applaud them for doing so, because if it is not by people, because government democracy is all by people. We Nigeria, we ordinary voters, I didn't mean that our leaders always come to our locality, ask us, what do you really want in this your locality? Who could be able to tell them this is what we want? A situation whereby we want you to tell our street, and then you come out and then you begin to distribute book for us. Do we really need it? We need street, we need pipe-borne water, and then you are giving us other things. So democracy is all about people. I don't think anything going on between Rauf Aregbesola and Oyetola. They are still the same people. They are still the same best of a friend. I think it's all about politics, and then this opposition that pushing for all this kind of hula balu. Thank you, God bless you.
Thank you very much. Now the old uniform, when by the way, you're going to transition to this. Right now, it's still very much that, or it couldn't have been immediate.
The new section is starting September.
Yes.
So we are going to work towards the new academic section.
And do they have badges? Because in this matter of being able to identify,
yes,
you know, in Lagos, for example,
it was suggested.
Bariga, you know, CMS Boys High School, St. Gregory's College, King's College, and so they all used to wear white and white. But you'd know from the badges. You'd know from the badges.
The trousers will be different.
No, not in all cases.
No, in most cases. Sir.
Well, what I'm saying is that those that were,
you see, we also looked at the option of badges, but we discovered it was all uniform.
Were there badges?
It was it was advised that there should be badges, but I don't think that was implemented fully. But we also looked at the option of, okay, let's say we put badge. But when the expert looked at it, security operative also advised that that was not going to work. Okay. That it is better people have their own mode of identification. And let me tell you, in the case of the Lagos you were saying, no same school would be together with almost the same uniform.
I hear you.
I
hear you.
But
let me bring in Mr. Joshua in Irewole. Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Uncle Yori, good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, and I greet the Honorable Commissioner.
Morning, sir.
I think after Lagos State, I tend to appreciate Osun State so much in terms of policies, and then the way their leaders, you know, discuss issues in the public. I think they are loaded. That's a kind of hope for us in Nigeria. And I want to say that I commend them for the courage to accept responsibility for a review. A policy is not cast in stone. If there is a need to rejig a policy, it should be done. I think it's about time we look at building institutions rather than individuals. This is what is killing us in Nigeria. If we are building institutions, it will not be about Aregbesola. It will be about whether this thing is working and producing results or not. Mm-hmm. And that's what we go on in Nigeria. You see, so one government will just come and useless everything the previous one has done without really looking at the books. What is going on? Get a feedback. If this thing needs improvement, improve on it. I commend them, and their courage is absolutely amazing. These people should export whatever they are doing to Nigeria. This is the way the country should be run. Thank you, Uncle Yori, and I appreciate your guest and his team. They should keep up the good work, even despite the criticisms.
Thank you very much for
dissenting voices. I must say this, Uncle Yori. I said...
Sorry, sir.
Okay.
Usually we spent a lot of time on this, and that's because of the seeming controversial aspect to it, even though you say, well, there's no...
No, you kept on saying seeming... From where?
Well,
quote
that's
someone,
the part.
quote someone that accuse
it
us of what we have done.
But no.
Nobody. It's just insinuation.
It is what has grabbed the headlines, but it's not the only thing happening in the state of Osun.
No, of course
And
not.
so that's why I said that, look, I think we spent about enough time on this, and I wanted to look at other aspects where perhaps there's not as much, there's no controversy. And for instance, this is a matter of health, which I think in the state of Osun,
we're doing very well.
You people are
I must
proud
say
of.
this. I said when we came in, we decided to run a more participatory governance.
When you put it this way, more participatory, that's comparative.
Yeah, when I
That
said
is
more participatory,
compared to the last administration.
when I said more participatory, for instance, we didn't have the volume of needs assessment that we had when we came in the last administration. And when we looked at the needs assessment, a lot of things showed there. For instance, we are doing 5 major roads now. And the governor said, go and, as a commissioner for us, he saddled me with the responsibility that I should go and look at the needs assessment. And I came and I said, excuse me, sir, these are the roads. And he said, you know, I need to fix the road to my town. It's town in the Iraq. And I said, you said I should pick the first 5. Iraq Bridge is not on the list for the first 5. He said, so you are not putting my town. I said, you said you want to follow strictly needs assessment. He said, so be it. Unfortunately for him, my town was on the first 5. I'm from Malaysia. What do I want to bring out? A lot of things that we are doing now, they are hinged on the needs assessment. When we came in, we saw that there was a need for us to revitalize each of the primary care centers. Osun, incidentally, has the highest number of primary care centers in Nigeria. We have about 1,020. About 800 and something is functional. So when we came in, we decided to do one per ward. When I mean revitalize, to make it functional, you have drugs, you have enough personnel. So as I speak to you, and that is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria, we have done over 200 primary care centers out of the 332. We have awarded additional 100. So what that means is before we are doing second year anniversary of Boyego, we'll have completely done 332 primary care centers. We did not stop at that. We are doing general hospitals too. We are doing state hospital. And we are not only renovating or putting equipment, we are also recruiting. For instance, the governor has approved a new salary scale for medical personnel. So we are doing a lot in the area of health, and we must sustain it. If you know what we are doing with a campaign against coronavirus, you'll be amazed that a state like Osun.
Okay, because
we need to
I was going to go there.
Yeah, because we need to make things work. We may not be making noise. You know, in Nigeria,
the whole corona subject matter.
We are doing a lot. We have a strong technical community. We're doing awareness. We're going to the market. We are doing a lot of sensitization. And we have also put in place our technical system so that when there's escalation, there are dedicated ambulances.
Are there isolation centers?
Yes.
Should we need...
yes, they are in Osun. So we are doing a lot. We may not be...
Because they say we dropped the ball since Ebola. Since Ebola, they say generally we drop the ball.
But not in all states. There are some states that are still prepared for this.
Okay.
For instance,
and Osun is one of those states.
We have a place, we have clusters of the foreigners. We've gone to do a lot of things around there. We might not be making noise in the news because there's this song that says the empty barrel, long pariwo. And you know in Nigeria, we have some audio governor. Boyego is not part of the audio governor. So we might not have been making a lot of noise with what we are doing, but the people appreciate it and they know we are doing what is right. In the area of infrastructure, we're doing a lot. As I speak to you, there is massive road construction across the state. And we have looked at our cash flow, that how are we going to do all this without affecting salaries of the workers? Because one thing we have come to realize with every worker is, no matter how good you are, no matter how much road you are doing, their salary must be complete at the end of the month. So we are also doing all that not to affect continuous payment of prompt and full salary. So we are doing a lot in the area of road infrastructure. There are some roads that have been calling for yearnings for repair for so long. We are fixing those roads now. And more importantly, we're also working with the Federal Ministry of Works to achieve a lot of things, to do a lot of things together. I spoke personally about the airport the other time. I still sent some documents to the former governor last week because we all know we must fix that airport. There are a lot of things. Just yesterday or a few days ago, Federal Fire Service gave us a fire truck that was commissioned in Osun. That is what the synergy between the former and the incumbent governor had brought. So there are a lot of things we are doing to get results for people because responsibility is power.
So we touched base. We spent a lot of our time on the home education review thing, and that has been adequately explained.
And it's good we took time to
Oh,
explain
yes.
to people
Oh, yes.
so that people
Yes.
will know we
Indeed.
don't have issues.
Indeed.
It's not that the opposition are pained because they looked at it that this was our major campaign
issue that has now,
and this has been resolved seamlessly.
yes, okay. And we've also taken out the whole matter of well, we've touched also on the health care delivery as much as possible, and I think you've also sorted out the whole matter of the people thinking that there might be a rift between the former governor and this
I explained
governor.
two things
Nothing
when I
like
said
that.
this. I said during campaign they asked Oyetola, if you become governor, will you do this? And Oyetola is talk and do. Will you do this when you become governor? And he said yes.
If that's what the people want.
And the former governor himself said, well, me and Ralph Aregbesola, this man is Oyetola, he would probably do things differently. And before he carried it out, he consulted.
Okay, let me see if I can squeeze in a last caller. Mr. Adeyeye in Osogbo, good morning, sir.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. Carry on, please.
Yeah. I'm Adeyeye from Osun State.
Go ahead, sir. You're on air right now.
Yeah, please, I want to let the public know that good morning. Good morning.
You've got to turn down the volume of your television, sir. Let them mute your television set. Well, Mr. Adeyeye, I'm sorry. We had to let go because it was taking too much time. And so, as I was saying, 15, 16 months on, everything is fine, actually.
Yes.
Contrary to, anything that might be seeming to the contrary, it is no more than the work of opposition. Yeah. Things are going the way they should be going.
Full salary is ongoing. We are doing a lot of road. As I speak to you, we are doing a road that transfers the entire Ife North. We are doing a to Ejigbo. We are doing a big road network within Osogbo. We are doing road in Ilesha. We are doing Igbajoada. And we are also opening up other places. We're doing Light Up Osun. We have this zero tolerance to pothole. So we are patching.
So governance is on course.
Is on course.
Sure.
And we are not, it's unfortunate that the dissenting voices that have not seen anything to say for 16 months felt we can speak on this. And I keep on saying this. You cannot be Ralph Aregbesola more than Remi Mowaye, more than the incoming chief of staff, more than the commissioner for finance, more than the commissioner for budget. Out of the 40 cabinet member structure, about 28 worked directly or indirectly with Ralph Aregbesola's administration. So we are part of Ralph Aregbesola's legacy. So we cannot rubbish ourselves. What is important is about the people.
Okay, let's leave it there. That's a fine place to leave it, Engineer Remi Omowaye, Honorable Commissioner for Works and Transport in Osun State. You also
in state of Osun.
Oh, in the state of Osun.
That remains
in the state of Osun. Okay, indeed. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much
to explain these things to us. So that's our program. Please join us next time, which is Monday. Today being a Friday. I'm Yori Polani. Have a great weekend.